This experience has affirmed one of the core beliefs that I have about technology. The platform is really not critical because it changes from almost minute to minute sometimes.
In the beginning of the project, we were really expecting to be inactive participants and inactive recipients of knowledge, just sitting in the classroom and waiting for Professor Shannon to lecture us and for Mike to lecture us on certain things.
And we kept waiting for the teacher to say, okay, this is what you need to be doing. You know, this is where it goes. You know, here's your syllabus. This is what you do week 2. This is what you do week 3. And we didn't have that.
It wasn't just the responsibility of the professor, but it was the responsibility on us to keep everything moving and keep everything together.
Really what they wanted from us was to be content creators and knowledge creators.
And we looked at learning it not from the traditional perspective. We were actually able to grow and evolve what we thought learning should be.
When we switched locations into the INT room, I think it really started to kick off. We started throwing ideas around and we started reading.
Christensen's work on disruptive technology is very well respected and well received. And given the environment that we are living in right now, particularly appropriate.
At first it was a struggle for all of us to get through and understand because we had trouble getting past what the message was. It defined where we started out in the beginning of this process.
The new technology, the disruptive technology, they were thrown to us week 3. And the whole idea of resisting it is exactly what we did from the beginning. We thought we knew everything. We thought we know how to use everything. We thought that the way we did it worked just fine. But through these technologies, we realized that there's a better way of doing things. There's an easier, quicker way. You just have to learn how to do them. You have to learn where to find them.
The book that I ended up reading was Seeing What's Next, and this book ended up teaching us that these disruptive changes, this new technology that we're using now, the new E71 phones or these Kindles, this was all developed and found through being able to figure out what these changes are, and it gives us a whole new perspective and a whole new way to look at things, that these changes don't occur rapidly, that it's a slow evolving process.
It takes a long time, and it's a process that we all learned and experienced together, and that I think is the most important thing that we learned.
It gave us a perspective on exactly how we can keep up and how we should look at these things in a different way to be able to get the most out of them.
In ordinary academic circumstances, they focus on the teacher, and in this project we had 2 teachers in the room, but we really learned the biggest transformation during the course of the project was that we didn't direct our attention and efforts at them. We had to learn to work as a team.
And we're just sitting around looking at each other and trying to figure out exactly, you know, what we were supposed to do. And we were getting frustrated with it.
When we first started working as a group in September, it was really just a big mess in terms of everyone's emotions coming into the room and trying to get this thing sorted out. But as time went on, we really learned to mesh as a group, and that's something that was really helpful going into the workforce, is being able to work with the dynamic group that we had.
Putting everything aside that we had to do, we had to trust each other at the end of the day because this project was so much bigger than all of us together as a group.
We learned that being flexible is critical in working in any group.
I know for a fact that a lot of what I've taken from this development of the course I will bring into the workforce.
By recording our collaboration on a whiteboard, fairly quickly discovered that there was no way to capture that conversation.
We knew that, you know, these are valuable conversations, these are things that we need to know, these are steps that we need to remember. And that's when we really started to see that the wiki could be that tool to help us to start developing this course and have everything in one place where we could all really work on it.
Which required one person to take everything down.
The wiki is like a huge mane of untamed hair, and someone needs to be there to trim the loose ends or condition the loose ends to make it look like one nice style.
That's fine at first because if only one person can do it, they have to. But after a while,
other people need to start taking over certain areas because you can't rely on one person to do one thing all the time.
If there's loose ends, if there's incomplete work, going in and completing it or letting the group know that this needs to be completed.
Now, pretty much everyone in the program knows how to do anything you need to do on the wiki.
All of a sudden, as the work went on, it became part of the project and not part of your individual work.
Nobody was so anxious to put their name on everything. It was kind of like you had an ease and a trust in them. So in the beginning, there was kind of that lack of trust, and by the end of the project, you had trust in your teammates to hand over your work and see what kind of value they could add to your work.
What I actually found to be the most useful tool is a Google Doc. It's basically a Microsoft Word document that you put online and multiple people that you invite can work on it at the same time.
Rather than writing down notes on a piece of paper and emailing them out to everybody, we were able to take pretty much our minutes from the class down and have that in an evolving document that everyone could see and add to. If one person recording missed something, it could be very easily added and seen by everyone. And that was a big key of being an active document rather than a stationary document where it just stood still the whole time.
Something so small has completely revolutionized the way that we function as a team.
What was really interesting was watching this team go from relying on an individual to be the transcriptionist to collaborating with the use of a projector and watching what was happening online, one computer, 14 or 15 people.
We slowly but surely moved from that to learning how to do blogs and creating our own content.
It was something that we've never done before. Obviously, we've always been given the content to study, where we, for once, had the opportunity to learn what we wanted to learn, find what we wanted to learn, and actually collaborate through a digital media like the blog.
The collaborative nature of it no longer required them to provide input to a single person, but allowed them to work collaboratively on a document, an idea that would then permit them to develop it collectively.
With these tools that we had, we were now able to collaborate interactively at the same time through Google Docs and wikis. And once we embraced these technologies, our collaboration went through the roof and our productivity went up very quickly.
Even the classroom setting moved from a classroom to a boardroom, and it was just a flow of ideas and information.
That experience, I think, showed them that they would be able to use the cloud and Web 2.0 tools to develop ideas, concepts, projects, product, even if they weren't physically located in the same space. The tipping point is a real interesting experience.
In the beginning, it just seemed like it was a book that was teaching us how to identify trends and how trends really start and learning about how the whole world starts to know about them. But the book really turned out to be a symbolic book for us. It's kind of a metaphor for our experience.
And as a class, we realized that beyond business, we also reached a tipping point ourselves. When we started communicating, we realized it wasn't just about the technology, but about the way we interacted with each other.
It speaks to the point in the process where the idea becomes so strong and so universally accepted that it almost takes on a life of its own, which is actually what disruptive technologies do.
The Kindle has been great from the time we got it.
I can carry around a variety of books, magazines, newspaper articles, clippings from Professor Shannon and from my peers, and have that all on my hands at any given time.
Cutting down the time to find information.
We didn't have to worry about carrying a ton of books around.
Linking up to the internet.
There's a feature on there where you can take notes and you can save them and you can actually send them electronically to different classmates.
We really utilized the state-of-the-art technology that was given to us.
We need to learn and understand that there were new types of technology, and the disruptive technology for us was using all these digital mediums, the Web 2.0, the Kindles, the phones as more than a phone.
When we got the phones, it really cut down the time it took for communication.
Being able to Skype each other and text message each other and email each other and always have that convenience of being in touch with each other. We were never really limited. We didn't have to meet.
Easy, fast, and effective communication.
Even though the technology is going to change and there's going to be newer and better and bigger things out there, we have grasped the technology and now we'll be able to move forward with it.
And you can only imagine that with greater technological innovations to come, I mean, we're not going to be doing things the same way 5 years from now that we were 2 months ago, let alone 5 years ago.
One of the most powerful books was Wikinomics, and that showed another aspect to the power of collaboration.
It's not really about either wikis or economics. It's about how that disruptive innovation, that technology, those Web 2.0 tools have provided us with a whole different model for working together and producing value.
Companies can really benefit from that today. Instead of just focusing and pouring lots of capital into research and development, they can invoke people who might not even be employees to the benefit of their company.
It demonstrated to all of us that the technology, the idea of mass collaboration using these tools could transform almost any environment that they're applied to creatively.
As a leader, and as part of the leadership program, we're being developed and molded into these people that can pick out these trends. Notice the little things, because it is the small details that go unnoticed, but it's also the small details that really make a difference when it comes down to spotting a trend and seeing what's going on.
Because of this project, we're more capable of adapting to new technologies.
I wish I had had this junior year, because going into senior year, you look at everything completely differently. Nothing's the same anymore. You look at it from a different perspective.
And we all pretty much learned from each other, and that was one of the best things about the project, was that we all learned how to be leaders together.
We took technology that allowed us to collaborate much more dynamically. It changed the way actually we critically think, and it made us more of a dynamic student, a dynamic colleague, and definitely a much more dynamic leader.
Working on this project really introduced me to a wealth of information that I would have never experienced.
We, as a group, came together and learned to think outside the box and develop our critical thinking skills a lot more than we had in any other class that we'd ever been a part of.
It made us more responsible, made us realize how important these things were for the future of this program and for future students.
It's not about knowing how to use one certain thing, it's about knowing that things are going to change and being open to that change.
It's imperative that we adapt to change.
You shouldn't be afraid to change.
Change is inevitable.
Do what needs to be done to cause that change, to shake up things and agitate everything, because that's what's going to affect everyone later on.